All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, former ECU head basketball coach Mack McCarthy, as we recap the college basketball season and hit on some other topics. Coach Mack, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Basketball over and just like always, right on time. We're looking forward to the Masters this week.
Yeah, the most overrated event in sports. We'll talk about that.
I know you're doing that for clicks, but that's one of the dumber takes I've ever heard.
Wow. Okay, that's an honor. Of all the takes, all the shows you've been on, for that to be the dumbest, one of the
I don't know if
dumbest.
it's the dumbest, but it is certainly honorable mention at worst.
I'm very good at dumb golf takes. One time I was watching some kind of father son event with Mully and saw Tiger Woods' kid,
Charlie.
Charlie. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they like showed a close up of him swinging. I was like, man, look at his hands, man. He'd be a great wide receiver. He should play football. And Mully said, "You think Tiger Woods' son should play football? It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life." I was like, all right, I get your point. He'll probably be a great golfer, but I'm just saying, kid's got good size. Anyway, we'll get to the Masters later. Mac, I called you when I got off yesterday. I was wrong about one thing and right about one thing. If Houston would have won last night, you would have won our bracket challenge. I had Hayden as our winner if Florida would have won last night, but I did not account for the big dog, Glenn Griffin, who had Florida winning the championship, and he was only a few points behind yesterday. So Glenn, kind of out of nowhere, comes back and wins the bracket challenge from Mack McCarthy. All you needed was a few more seconds of Houston leading, and you would have won that thing.
Yeah, congratulations to the big dog. He sort of came from behind like everybody else in the Final Four.
That was a trend, no doubt. Mac, I'm glad to be talking to you because I've been wanting to ask. Was it just really good defense we saw a lot of that game last night? Was it poor shot making, poor execution offensively? Because it was a bit of a sloppy game, especially there down the stretch for Houston, where they had several possessions where they couldn't even get a shot off. So, do you give the defense credit for that, or do you blame what Houston and at times Florida was doing offensively last night?
No, I don't have any problem with the offense. It was difficult. The defense was outstanding for both teams, and the officiating had an awful lot to do with it. And not to criticize the officiating, it was the same through the whole tournament. They let them beat the living snot out of each other, and that does not make for a lot of great shot making. I can't even begin to explain four fouls in the first half and 26 or whatever it was in the second half. It makes no sense. Although I will say the teams participated in that. They just said, "Heck, we're just going to beat each other until they call it."
I guess there's like some things we just resign ourselves to be true, and that's if a team has 17 fouls and the other team has one, by the next media timeout, it'll somehow be even. And we just like, okay, fine. That's the way it is. Like, is that frustrating as a coach? I guess it depends on what side you're on, but it seems like that's true 9 times out of 10 in games, right?
It is
Yeah.
frustrating, but there are actual, logical reasons for it. I mean, teams adjust just like they adjust to officiating over the course of the game. They adjust even within periods of the game, and of course, the game really kind of changed officiating tenor after the technical foul. I think the next 11 calls or the next seven calls or whatever it was went against Houston in that period of time. And it seemed like makeup, but I think the teams actually have a lot to do with that. And also there can be a big discrepancy if one is getting caught up in jump shooting all the time and the other one's taking it to the hole or getting it on the offensive glass. There are a lot of reasons that go into this that are not as simple as, hey, the officials changed the way they were calling things.
Mac McCarthy joining us. Heard Kelvin Sampson after the game talking about that last possession. And what did you think of what they tried to do there? He said that, Sharp, probably should have head faked. You got to get a shot off there. one way or the other. You can't just
Yeah.
turn it over at the end. But what do you think of the end of the game there?
Well, clearly they didn't execute what they were trying to do. You could see what they were trying to do. There was a dribble handoff involved. There was a misdirection screen involved, and then they took those things away, and then they finally got to their last option, and the young man kind of made a bonehead play there with the travel or
Yeah,
I guess it was
awkward.
going to be a travel,
All right.
but whatever it was awkward. And yeah, it wasn't a good possession. But again, so many of these things, like, okay, we were talking about the game before where we said Duke collapsed. Well, maybe Houston made a comeback, and the same kind of thing here. You got to give Florida a lot of credit for playing really really good defense when they had to.
I believe the final three games for Florida in this tournament, they were down 9 in the second half
Yeah,
and made
yeah.
comebacks. So what does that say about a team, Coach Mack? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and whatever, all the talking heads are going to say is, well, they were tested through the regular season and they played great competition. They were used to being in that situation, but I'm not sure I buy all that. They were a really good basketball team and they made good adjustments and they had a lot of different weapons and a lot of different ways to answer different things that occur, challenges that come up during the course of a game.
We've talked about this, Mac, but it's been a popular topic. I just want to get your words on the record again. We'll see another 13, 14, 15 seed win in the future of this tournament, right? Like
Sure.
Cinderella's not completely dead.
Not at all. Not at all. It was close this time. There were several opportunities, and yeah, the NIL and the transfer portal are causing lots of problems, but the tournament isn't going to be affected like that all the time. It was an aberration in my opinion.
A couple other basketball topics I want to hit on, Coach Mack, and one of those is rule changes. And I saw a video with some coaches talking about if you could change a rule, something you want to add, something you maybe want to take away. Heard, and this was in the college game, heard several college coaches talk about advancing the ball late in the game like they do in the NBA. You call timeout, you get it on your side of the
Yeah.
court. One coach said the closely guarded 5 seconds. How is that called now? It used to be called like before you took a dribble, they would count, and then while you're dribbling, they would count. Now do they take it away while you're dribbling? I think is that
Yeah.
how that works?
Yeah, yeah, it's just holding the basketball, which
Right.
doesn't happen very often. But there are a couple things that the women's game has that I think the or women's game have that I think might serve the men well, and one of them is advancing the ball. I've heard some legitimate arguments to why that wouldn't be great, but it sure does enhance the strategy opportunities toward the end of the game. And the other one is the quarter system. And you saw one of the big arguments last night when a team goes into the 1-and-1 with 15 minutes to go in the half. You're going to see a parade to the free throw line for a lot of the remaining half game, whatever it is. But the one thing I can't really reconcile about the quarter system, I think it does have a little bit better flow to it for some reason. But the one thing I can't kind of get set in my mind is I like the 1-and-1. And I hate to take that out because if you have the quarter system, what the women do right now is once you get to the fifth foul, it's two shots from then on. But all free throws are two-shot fouls, whether you're in the active shooting or whether you're in the bonus. There's the and one, but there's no 1-and-1 situation. And I kind of like the drama of the 1-and-1 situation late in the game.
Interesting. So does it reset every quarter? It's not halves.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah.
10-4. Interesting. We'll see if there are any rule changes. There are some every year. We talked about NFL rule changes last week on the show, so things are always evolving there. Mac, credit to me. I was excited about the women's championship on Sunday. I
Yeah.
sat down and turned it on at tip off and was ready for a good game and turned it off somewhere in
Yeah.
the second quarter because it was pretty clear who the better team was. in that game with UConn, the 2 seed, who was like a 7.5 point favorite over 1 seed South Carolina.
Yeah, UConn just kept getting better and better the whole year. There were times early in the year where I didn't think they were one of the teams that could win it. They just weren't playing that well, and they got to playing better in January and February, and just kept improving. And some of that, well, like we talked about on the show last week, was health related, but some of it was just them finding the combination and the chemistry that they needed to play their best basketball. And you got a preview of it when they really beat the dog out of South Carolina during the regular season. And for some reason, that's a really good matchup for UConn. But kudos to them. Number 12, most all time, and Paige Beckers goes out a winner with all her injuries during her career and that kind of thing. It was a pretty cool story, even though Ariema has been for the most part a villain his whole career.
I like when someone can take what is not really a cool name but make it cool, because Fudd is not a cool name, and it's I would say mostly associated with Elmer Fudd,
Yeah,
Hunt and
yeah.
Wabbit, but that Yukon Fudd is she's bad, so I got to give her credit for that, making Fudd cool.
Yeah, as well as Becker's played throughout the tournament, Fudd was the big reason that they were in the position they were in and kicking butt in the Final Four.
Jarrett, you like Fudd?
I am just now hearing this for the first time. Big fan.
Big Fudd fan.
Big Fudd fan. Yes.
We got J Bone here producing. He'll join us when we get to our NASCAR segment. Mac, the I guess SEC dominates college basketball this year, as they've somewhat done with football, you could say. Although the Big Ten owns the championship right now with Ohio State. So as we wrap up both college football and basketball, any kind of overall, I mean, it's almost like what you say, the money's the answer. What's the question? And right now, the Big Ten and SEC are reigning supreme. Like, what can these other leagues do to catch up, or is it almost too late for that at this point?
I don't think it's too late, but they've got work to do, and some of it goes with the hiring, and you've seen some big hires, and some of them will work out, some of them won't. Nobody knew who Todd Golden was a few years ago when he got that job, unless you were a real insider. You had no clue about this young man out of Columbia and starting his career in kind of an administrative position at Auburn, and getting the San Francisco job, and here he is on top of the world. And which one of those new hires is going to be that guy?
I would love to see a line on NC State making the tournament next season. And I'm glad that I'm so confident Will Wade will be good there that he probably won't, because I'm wrong on everything. So hopefully I'm wrong on this, but I don't know, Mac. I just feel like he's going to, first of all, rally that fan base. They kind of like being the villain, I think. So and he's got a little bit of that in him. So I don't. I think he's going to do a great job there. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm betting on him being in the tournament if I'm you.
You got that, Jarrett?
I don't have that, but them to win the tournament next
Wow.
year is plus 10,000.
You're right. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like they have basically same odds as like Villanova, Ole Miss, Wisconsin.
Yeah. And I don't think they're going to win the tournament. Then again, I haven't been following the portal or anything like that. Mac, you're way too early next year. I mean, you've almost got to see what happens with the portal and everything, right? Like, is there anybody you know is going to be in the Final Four next year that you would put your money on today?
If you're putting a way too early top 25 out for next year, you're a sick puppy. I mean, there's no way that you could have a clue about that at this point. Who's going to go pro? Who's going to be in the portal? Who you're going to get in the portal? That's just insanity. And I saw a bunch of them today. John
Yeah.
Fanta and a whole bunch of folks. Please, just give it a rest.
Those are the types of people that say the Masters are overrated. They're just like looking for they need attention is what they need, Mac. All right, we'll talk about the Masters. Look, it's golf. Like, why? My thing is, if you're What are you a fan of? Flowers? Like, what do you like? Birds? Like, go
How
on a
about
walk.
how
If
about
you were a golf
skills?
fan, you'd watch every week, right? Because it's golf.
What was the book? A Good Walk Spoiled by John Feinstein.
Sure, rest in peace. I don't know.
The Masters is special. The Masters is one of the bucket. If you're a sports fan at all and it's not on your bucket list, you're a fake sports fan.
Oh, a lot of hot takes being thrown out there today. Uh, have you been, Mac? I'm sure we've talked about this. Have you been?
More than 20 times, yes.
Okay, I guess a guy that's been more than 20 times has a better read on it than I do. Are you typically a golf fan?
I'm a big golf fan, but I honestly don't pay that much attention except to the majors anymore. I used to keep up with it weekly and that kind of thing, but I love the majors. I get excited for all the majors, and there are only four. Don't bring me the players and all that stuff. It's the four majors. It's the two opens, the PGA, but nothing compares to the Masters.
PGA in Charlotte this year, Mac. You going to go to
Yeah.
that?
Probably not. I've been to a bunch of tournaments and I've been to the PGA. Matter of fact, I've been to the PGA in North Carolina back in way back in the day when it was at Tanglewood outside of Winston-Salem. But the one I haven't been to, obviously, is the British Open or the Open, as
The
they say.
Open. I'm a golf guy. I call it the Open.
Yeah, yeah, you're a golf guy, all right. You don't think the Masters is special. You are not a golf guy.
Mac, give me a pick this week.
I like Morikawa.
Ooh.
He's playing really well, but hey, it really is tough to pick somebody, and a lot depends on the weather and everything else. But I'll take him if I'm gonna have to pick one.
Well, Mac's pretty good at picking. You told us Hamlin last week as far as winning the
Yeah.
race, and you're great at picking on this show. You're awful at picking a team because Jared, can you give us the standings here?
Yeah, so after this week, Clip's still in the lead with 17 points. I have 9 points, and Mac -1.
Yes, sir.
It's third straight week. I got the driver as the winner with Denny Hamlin going back-to-back Martinsville and Darlington. Mac had the best average, and then Kyle Larson's stupid self with a DNF. I got -1 there.
Mac is he's on a super speedway right now, just waiting for me and you to crash each other, and then somehow he's gonna creep on by us this fall.
Blaney's going to get him at some point. I cannot tell you why Blaney has just got terrible luck this season so far, but he's getting there.
Yeah, it was over, and I was going to win, but I didn't. So, but I'm going to have to start winning in a hurry to catch you guys.
I mean, stupid Kyle, 160 laps down. Just get out of the way. Don't wreck. Like,
Well,
Your
but
guy.
also
Your
we
guy
all
cost me the race. Your guy cost me the
yeah,
race,
and
Jerry.
my guy won because of my other guy.
didn't. I was reading this throughout Sunday. Was it William Byron who led
Yeah.
most of the laps? And that was an interesting number, Mac. I think it was like 2,000 the last time a driver went wire to wire.
Yeah,
Was
and
it
that was a little
Burton?
bit of a fluke. It was at New Hampshire. Jeff Burton led all
Burton.
the laps, but they instituted a restrictor plate for that race because Adam Petty had gotten killed in practice, and it was they felt like it was too fast going into the turn, so they put a restrictor plate on it, and he led every single lap. So yeah, he did lead every lap, but that takes a real big asterisk right there.
Gotcha. Bristol this week.
Bristol this week.
All right, Mac, you gonna be there?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to wait for the next Martinsville and Richmond and maybe one more Darlington.
All right, there you go.
I do like your odds, Mac, to have a winner this week with Blaney and Elliott. I think one of them can find the checkered flag.
Yeah, if your guys just stay the heck out of the way, Jerry.
All right, Mac, you got an official pick. You've been hot on these.
For Bristol,
Yeah.
I'll take the fan favorite. I'll take Elliott.
All right. There'll be what's the Dawsonville. Is it pool hall or what? Grill? What do they? What do they ring?
Yeah, the pool hall they ring the siren.
The
Yeah,
siren. Yeah. Mac enjoyed it, man. Kind of sad that basketball is come and gone. We've got the NBA. How about the Denver Nuggets, who have a chance to win a championship this year because they have one of,
yeah,
if not the best player in basketball, just fired their head coach and GM a week before or whatever the playoffs start.
yeah. They're in fourth place in the West. I don't understand what's going on there. There must be more to it than we
Yeah,
know.
gotta be something. That is crazy. Hey, keep your phone on. Maybe they'll give you a call, Mac. I'd
Can't
love
do
to.
Denver.
What would you tell Jokic if you had a chance to coach him right now?
Shoot it when you have it.
And that's why he's a great coach. Mac, thanks, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys.